All right, all right.
Hey,
So we're gonna do a relatively short video today, where the plan is we're gonna go through this Vivek video,
there's
where
4.5 minutes. Yeah.
yeah, it's 4.5 minutes, and we'll pause along the way and maybe have a little bit of commentary, um, and let's talk about it. So,
So,
all right.
well, it's not much play yet. Let's do some start. So basically, Trump was indicted again for a bunch of
Mhm.
January 6th stuff today, and that is why Vivek has posted this video in direct response to that, basically saying this is ridiculous, and ultimately it's probably the response that DeSantis should have done initially in the Mar-a-Lago raids. So it's just showing it's basically just it's a presidential type of move, and he has a little speech here, and we'll listen to it and talk about it. But like it's I am definitely more of a Vivek fan now for a lot of reasons. We can talk about that afterwards or during. We can pause it here, but it's just impressive, and he's backing up for Trump, and he's kind of committing to the idea that this is ridiculous. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. You ready?
yep,
It's another sad moment in our country's history. The 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, has yet again been indicted by the Biden DOJ, a political party in power that is now repeatedly using police force to indict and arrest and potentially eliminate its political opponents from competition.
So let's pause it there. So how many times has he been indicted while Biden has been in office?
this is the third time, right?
I
I
think
think this is
so.
his third time,
I
and I
think
mean
so.
I don't. If you were to ask me how many counts, I don't know because they stack up the counts,
Sure.
in each case. But this is the third time he's been indicted, as far as I know. The one was well, actually, is it called an indictment? If he had that one, is it
I
a
don't think
civil
that
case?
that one necessarily counts
The
as
civil
an
case where he had to
indictment.
pay a girl, that's not an indictment. You're right. That's just
Yeah,
a New York
but I think that
bullshit
it's
situation.
basically the same thing.
Yeah,
Like, cuz if all of these indictments clearly to me look like political hit jobs. Like that's what all of this stuff is. I mean, what's amazing to me is how they were. Trump had asked Zelensky about this thing that Biden was talking about. He was like, "Oh yeah, I did this? What was it? Poroshenko or something?" He's like, "Yeah, can you look into some of this stuff I've been hearing? I don't even know if it was that necessarily, but he was like, can you take a look into some of this stuff that's going on with Biden? Because
charisma.
there's some
Yeah,
and Burisma, because there's some really weird stuff kind of happening with this, and it's like just inquiring about that was deemed as election interference, but here we are actually indicting President Trump, former President Trump, and that's not election interference.
right.
To me that's absolutely crazy, and it ends up just kind of to me just more or less going to show like I don't when it comes to the people who are on the left and the people who were in support of who thought that it was bad that Trump was inquiring and that he really shouldn't have done this and that this was quid pro quo, and all this stuff. It's like I don't think that they even really believed it. I think it was just like they just wanted this to be like they were looking at it more as a means to an end, and that was the whole thing. It wasn't about right, wrong, justified or not. None of that mattered. It was just, oh, the narrative now says get him, and this can get him out of office. That's what I
Yeah,
want. So I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon. I'm gonna be on board with it. And
they really.
I feel like that's gonna end up really backfiring in some degree, because it's kind of like, okay, when you guys get mad, like say Trump does get elected, and they're like, I can't believe that he's doing this. He's going after blah blah. It's like, dude, you already played all of your cards. You already, like, this is the largest level of hypocrisy I've ever seen, and all you can do is just like you don't even believe what you're saying. You don't even mean it. You're just politically biased minded. That's it. You just want to win. You just want to get rid of him.
Yeah. So it is a shame, but it was known that this was going to happen. They said it was their plan since January 6th. Say, hey, we're gonna prosecute him. We're gonna make sure that they want to make him ineligible even. They would love it if they could put an insurrection charge on him, making it illegal for him to run. But that's why they called it. That's why they labeled it as an insurrection initially, because that was the plan.
Yeah, to frame it that way.
Not because it was an insurrection, but because that was the plan.
Yeah. All right,
So,
ready?
You ready? Yeah, go.
This is a politicized prosecution. It is a political persecution through prosecution. Now, in a third indictment, just in a matter of months, against the person who is still at present the lead contender in the Republican primary for U.S. president. I want to be very clear. I am running for U.S. president in that same Republican primary. It would be easier for me if Donald Trump were eliminated from competition. That's not how I want to win. This is not about politics to me. This is about first principles. We do not want to become a country where the party in power is able to use banana republic-like tactics to eliminate its political opponents. You know, I'm sad to say that's exactly where we are.
So I'll pause it there. So it's something that I don't even think that it's necessarily his fault, but it's like it kind of just comes with the territory. Is that if he's like, look, it would be easier for me to jump on the bandwagon and for him to be indicted and arrested and made to be removed from politics. But this is really about first principles. It's kind of like, I think that's a really good way. Now I can just presume because I don't know anything otherwise. And so far he's demonstrated a pretty solid backbone on kind of following what's actually the right thing to do. So far, that's all I've really seen from him. But it's like this is also, if you were to look at it from a critical political lens, this is basically a really powerful and good way to get Trump supporters to at least consider you.
Right. Or at least that if he were to be the nominee, that they wouldn't necessarily shun him.
Yeah, he's not going to be he's no Ron DeSantis in this entire situation.
Yeah,
and this
he even talked to Trump initially about saying, "Hey, I don't mean to disrespect, but I think that we have kind of similar messages in some ways, and I feel like I'm actually having an impact with some people that you're not able to reach, and I want to try to." So he had a private conversation before he even put it in, just a respectful conversation with him, and Trump gave him his blessing to run. In fact, so it's like at some point, I'm sure he's gonna be like, "Yeah, get out now." But like, he's not in bad terms with Trump. I think it'll happen as it gets closer.
I think if anything, this is a really powerful and probably one of the best vice presidential campaigns I've seen. Well, he's running for president, and so far he's pushing his way up in my book to like number 2.
So he wouldn't do. I don't think that he would do a vice president, but he would maybe do a cabinet position somewhere, or being something that has some sort of executive authority or some sort of control over different things. He is more of a like he did an interview with who was it? He does an interview with everybody lately. He does long form ones with everybody, and that's his form of how to get his name out there. But he explained his position on who he would pick as the vice president and whatever else he's talking about. Like he's like, well, there's 2 different styles. There's like the like there's this person that would have sort of gap knowledge in areas that I don't have folks my energy into that I don't really have the deep understanding as well as I know. Like I know ESG, I know these type of things, but like there's that, or there's someone that is a yin to his yang for the type of like a Tucker Carlson type of thing where they have like where they're just I mean he's not gonna pick
It's
Tucker,
an
but
honest. It's an
someone
honest person.
yeah, someone
from
has
how he's
honest
viewing it.
something, right? And so
Right.
he laid out a couple conceptual ideas as how he would pick a running mate, and in that conversation he talked about, I mean as all the guys do, how they don't feel like they'd fit as a number two, whatever. I mean, who knows, maybe, but what he said, he addressed it saying that I know a lot of people say that and say like I would be honored to be selected in that type of position, but I just don't think I'd be effective. And it's kind of a the position, like he wants to do things. He doesn't want to not do things, which is what the vice
Right.
president does. And so
Well,
he
I mean,
has
the vice-
other ways to activate in the world. He has a $1 billion fund that he's trying to use to fight ESG, and he has all sorts of things he can do to be proactive instead of just be the vice president, which is not doing anything.
Well, I think that a vice president can do as much as the president assigns them or allows them to do. I know that Pence he's led charges, he's influenced a lot of different things, and even just being vice president, you can have like a cultural impact. There's a lot of stuff that you can do should you be able to hold the position and play it well. I mean, you look at Kamala Harris, it's kind of like, well, the vice president doesn't do anything. Well, because she can't really do anything. She's not very good at basically anything. So far everything she touches she ruins.
And the problem you get is that all the good things the president wants credit for, and all the bad things they don't want credit for. And so anything you do as vice president, it has to either be the president that did it, or as a vice president they try not to talk about it, but you were the one assigned to it, therefore you just take all the crap and you don't get any of the blessings for it. You don't. It's like, yes, you can say if there's a win, you can be like, yes, our administration, our administration did this. You can kind of piggyback on the wins, I guess you can say, as a vice president. But if you do a majority of the work, there's no credit there. It's always the president that gets credit for it. And so I guess if you don't worry about credit, I guess
I think that's probably generally true, but I know that when Trump, I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, yes, that is true, but the president kind of ends up taking the credit for everything anyways, just not because he's asking for it or that he claims it. It's just that if we kind of have a mentality of, if it happened under your administration, you are responsible for it, good or bad, right? But I think that
not if you're Democrat, then if it's bad, it was just dumb luck, or it was the previous president.
Sure. Well, Republicans did the same thing. Though,
yeah, everyone tries to. That's why
they try to toss it. They try to toss it to the people. Oh, here's something that was pre-existing that is a problem.
It would be great if the buck stopped here, is how it worked, but it doesn't. It's they only ever want to take credit for the good things.
But well, I don't think
the opposing groups will assign you the bad things. Yes.
Well, I guess from my. I guess in my kind of point is like the way that the people kind of take it, whether told to or not, is this happened under your administration and you're responsible for it. And they can toss stuff and say they can blame the past presidency or whatever and all that stuff, but it's like the president is the one who eventually is kind of like they're the bearer of the burden and the glory. But something that Trump has often done is he oftentimes, when he has these meetings and he holds these press conferences, he's very frequently talking about the people who actually put the work in, and he's praising them and he's giving them a lot of credit. And oftentimes I've even heard him take himself out of the picture. I know that in the I think it was the Bosnia-Kosovo thing, he was talking about how it was the people that were standing behind him that
Yeah.
really deserved all the credit
Yeah.
because they're the ones that put this together.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though, and the only thing that he took credit for was saying, look, we needed a new approach. I came and I said, we need to do a new approach. This is the approach we need to do. He handed it off to those people, and those people followed those instructions and they got it done. So it was Trump's vision, but the actual
Yeah.
actions that were taken were by other people, and I think that he fairly credited everybody for it. Even though the presidents of Bosnia and Kosovo still primarily gave Trump credit for it. They were like, because of what you did, but at the same time, at the grand scale of things,
Yeah.
like it was Trump, because he's the one that had the vision and the guts to go through
Yeah.
with it.
And the bully pulpit ability to get things to get in motion or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
The allegations in this indictment fall flat. It is wrong and incorrect and inaccurate to place blame for what happened on January 6th at the feet of Donald Trump. I said this at the time. I've said it ever since then. I continue to say it today. I would not have made the same judgments that Donald Trump did in how he handled that day. But that's different from saying that he committed a crime. He did not. He specifically told the protesters that day to behave peacefully. The First Amendment in this country gives political protesters the ability to express themselves and their opinions freely. Donald Trump was not responsible for what happened on January 6th. You want to know what was responsible? I said this in the days after January 6, 2021, just as I say it today.
I'm just going to pause it just very briefly, maybe for copyright reasons or whatever, but the point that he's about to make, I think, is he absolutely nails it. And it's something that the media has fought against and not wanted him to, they had not wanted to acknowledge any of this. And I think that there was a massive bias because it's like they were sitting there justifying all of the BLM riots and all of that stuff and the chaos and the damage and the extreme levels that went to. And it's like, and their rationale for that was like, look, this has been going on, like this is a huge problem. The people feel as though this is a huge problem and they're not being listened to, they're not being heard, and they've tried and they tried and they tried to tell you, hey, we need to be listened to, we need to be heard. And when that didn't happen for years and years and years, and even though there's some really weird stuff about all the BLM, like the foundations that they're kind of protesting on, there was still that sense of injustice that was there. And so because things weren't getting done, it made it okay for them to go out and protest and then get violent and then cause destruction of property and take over places, federal places that they weren't supposed to go into. But they would justify that and they would say this is an acceptable form. But because this happens in a very same and similar fashion, because as he's about to explain, in part I think he's about to explain, but I don't know if that he takes into account how the media has been on a war path of destruction towards Trump, filled with lies day after day in and day out. There wasn't a single day where the media wasn't making up lies about Trump in order to get people to hate him. And so they put up with years upon years upon years of this, and then finally it hit the fan when they were all gathered together at this, and they have a large fear of what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
okay, we'll let him go. You ready?
Yep.
Systematic, pervasive censorship in this country. That was after a year where we had told people across this nation that you had to stay locked down in your house, in your basement, and shut up, sit down, do as you're told. If you question that, you're racist, you're anti-science, your social media accounts were silenced. You had to stay home and locked down, unless you were part of BLM or Antifa, in which case it was perfectly fine to roam the streets of this country and burn many of them down. That was the double standard that then applied and said that if you said the virus originated in a lab in Wuhan, you were again a racist and had your internet accounts shut down. You were then told you had an election where you could express yourself to put the right person in charge of fixing these problems, and instead, your accounts were suppressed if you sent a mere message saying that the Hunter Biden laptop story from the New York Post was real. You had your accounts locked. Even the New York Post had its own account locked. And if you repeatedly then tell people they cannot speak, that is when they scream. If you repeatedly tell people they cannot scream, that is when they tear things down. And I think we are making a grave mistake in this country by trying to pin the blame for that at the feet of one man. If we refuse to learn our mistakes from our mistakes in the past, we are doomed to suffer an even worse fate in the future. I worry that will create a country where January 6, 2021 was a friendly parlay compared to what's actually to come. I'm running for president to make sure we don't march towards some kind of national divorce. But the first and most important step that we as candidates can take in this race is to speak and speak forcefully on the side of principle, to say that even if we're competing against Donald Trump, as I am, I do not want to see him eliminated from competition using these politicized tactics. It is wrong for our country. It is wrong for our future. I call on my fellow candidates to condemn it, and I call on President Biden to do the right thing and drop these politicized charges. That's going to be a first step towards uniting our country.
Yep. Excellent.
That's a pretty incredible video for him to put out.
So people, there are naysayers that are plugged in to like there'll be people that have already decided that this guy's a bad guy because he's not their guy, and so they're like, oh, he's just doing sort of political gain, all kind of stuff. It's like, you know what? It's not the fault of people that are doing the stand-up thing that all the fakers have tried to emulate doing the right thing for so many years. Mm-hmm. So like when people fake it for so long and then the person really does it, you can't call the person that's trying to be genuine and and stepping up immediately when it is being strong, forceful. He's doing the right thing. It's just looking like, oh my gosh, he's just so smart and clever. He's just doing this. It looks really good, but oh my gosh, it's so snaky of him or whatever. The people will have that view.
I can understand them having that view.
Yeah, because I think it's been done every single time.
Right.
Because there's a correct thing to say, and they say it. But he's saying it. I feel like he's doing it at the right time. He's doing it in a way, and I've heard him say this type of stuff. Like he's referring to things he said before, which he did say before, which I have heard him say before. And it's not new. It's not like he's doing this for the political cycle or whatever. It's even said that he read all the full indictments of all the different things. Said like he would be pardoning. The two indictments are out at the time when he was talking about it. He said like, no, I would absolutely pardon him. It's bad for the country to have the president put in the jail or whatever, or even indicted for these type of things. So I think he's genuine. I heard him talking to Elon Musk for 2 hours, like him and them talking back.
When was that?
I listened to it today. I think it came out yesterday. It's a Twitter Spaces thing.
I'll probably check that out. I've listened to him a lot on podcasts, and I mean, after
Crystal and Sagar, you hear that one?
Yeah,
Crystal is a little bit.
Man,
annoying.
she kind of irritates me a little bit.
She's a little bit, like, really?
She's a little more feisty than I think that she should be, but also
she's not as intellectually based. I think she's more emotional than
that's what I mean by feisty. Is she's not tackling things in necessarily the right way.
I really was I'm really hoping that she can be a logical liberal in a sense of where like talking from like I want her to represent opposing views in a way that is respectful for me to hear instead of her doing like snarky type of statements or like and like trying to show graphs about how global warming kills people and all these type of things. Like okay. It's just
Like she's trying to argue with them more than she should, and it's not even necessarily arguments, it's more her trying to place her information and what she believes onto them through her own framing, and that's kind of one of the things that a lot of people are really turned off by. But I think in addition to that, one of the problems is Sagar. He doesn't he doesn't really do anything. He's kind of a bystander,
yes,
and I think that
it's there.
one of the things that really got me interested in them was that they would disagree, and then they would in some ways hash things out like on video. And I
So,
in these kinds of
my
situations,
theory,
I don't think
theory,
that she does so
I know why
much.
it doesn't happen. I know why it doesn't happen.
Was that
Um, the same reason why Harry and Meghan Markle, Meghan Markle, whatever her name
Meghan
was,
Merkel?
Markle, yeah. Um, Harry, if he puts a foot down, she
Lights
like
up.
they're not seeing each other right now. They're separated.
Yeah,
So if he plays a man card ever, or if he ever takes a position on anything too strong,
like he's scared
there's an
to.
emotional like, well then you can go to hell or whatever. So that it's so I'm saying that like I feel like Sagar is having to play night. We have a good thing going here.
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep this. I can't if I come out too strong, she's gonna lash out and we're not gonna be good.
there's that one moment, like she's, because the way it almost looks sometimes is that when she's talking to these people, she seems triggered to some
Yes.
degree. And it's like, and if Sagar were to kind of push a button on accident, right? She could blow her top. She could have a moment that is
She has.
not
I bet he knows her
appealing
well, and he knows he has to walk this line. And they
for
have
the
this,
sake of the show
yes, for the sake of the show
and the audience, to make sure
he's
that,
having
like,
to
hey,
play. Yes, he's having to play possum a bit for that. I mean, Sagar will say what he thinks, but he will never press her, and I think which is maybe appropriate, because only because their idea is they're supposed to be able to present and not try to change each other's minds, I
sure.
guess.
But I think that I guess that maybe I would kind of say it almost like this. It when she comes out and she's just going blah 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 blah, and they respond with something that's no blah 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 blah, and that goes back and forth several times. I feel like there should be kind of the other side of the coin of like, okay, here comes Sagar, and Sagar can kind of talk about like, okay, so this is what I understand about your positions, and those are different things. It's like a different interpretation from what Crystal's saying, and it's more in line with the realities of what, say, RFK is saying or Vivek is saying, right? Because I feel like she just tends to really misrepresent and then dig down on those key things that are misrepresentations to some degree. Um, and I feel like it would be better if, like, Sagar may not have to go after her directly, but he can kind of more be like, okay, so that's her narrative. My narrative is this, which sounds more
Yeah.
reasonable with what it sounds like you're talking about, and then you can get some kind of levels of agreement. And I think that could have happened easily with RFK. I think it could have happened with Vivek. I think it could have happened,
So, I
lots of
haven't
times.
seen them do a full show. I don't watch their show or listen to their show. I've only seen them when they're doing interviews of people I want to hear interviewed.
Yeah.
So, in fairness, I don't know what the normal dynamic is much. I mean, I did initially when Joe Rogan first introduced me to the idea of them. I did initially listen to shows, and I'd say, "All right, I get it, cool." Still, they don't. I don't find them as interesting as other people, so I don't listen to them. It's there's a big field. There's many
They're
options.
news. I mean,
Yeah.
really, they're like to imagine and think of them as entertaining podcasters. I don't think is the right
Yeah,
approach.
they don't have the pizzazz or punch of some of the other people that I want to listen to. Right?
They speak
It's
like
just
newscasters. Yeah,
yeah.
which is fine. I hope that
Yes, especially
they.
for people that only that want to listen to something for like an hour a day, and that's all they have. That's all they want to do. Maybe it's a fine news source, right? But when I'm listening to 8 hours of things, I already know the news.
Honestly,
I'm looking for interesting people.
I sub like I I'm signed up on their Patreon, and I like what that effectively gives me is I get the full hour show, but
Okay.
I don't even watch it.
Yeah,
I
I don't watch Timcast either
because it's a
half the
big
time.
it's a whole hour long thing, and it's like, look, I'll
Yeah.
just it's inconvenient because I have to go into my email and I have to click the link that sends me to the YouTube one, and
Yep.
then the crappy thing is that the thing that I like the most probably is like their own personal segments, and then they kind of have like a little bit of a back and forth after they talk about their whatever it is that they brought up. Um, but they cut that out of the YouTube clips, and so
Yeah.
I even though I'm paying, I I never it's more than I want. It's too many steps for me to want to
So
go
that's
through
why I
to
don't
see
watch the
even the
after.
part that I like the most.
That's why I don't watch the after show for Tim Pool ever. I mean, I haven't even watched Tim Pool much. I only watch the 20-minute clips that he does each day. I don't even watch the whole thing. I mean, I saw Roseanne Barr was on with whatever with
Dude, the culture war ones,
yeah,
those
they're
are
fun.
sweet.
They are fun. They're good, but I just don't. Right, what I'm saying is that right now I don't even watch it, but I still pay for it. I
Yeah,
haven't watched Steven Crowder in like 6 months, and I still pay for it.
yeah,
So like, there's some people I just committed to paying for that I don't view. You know, it's.
yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll cycle back and it'll be worth it, especially since the political season's starting here with in full steam, starting in January or February, I think. That what it is, or wait, right? No, about right now. About right now, they're gonna
Pretty soon, yeah.
when are the first debates? Actually, we haven't set them up, but um, Republican primary debates criteria and date for the second.
I hear Trump may not even participate in the debates. I feel like
That's
that.
that's
I feel like
that's a bad idea.
I feel
That's a
like
bad
that is a
idea.
bad idea.
He could weed them out.
And
He
it would
could
be
knock them out.
so much fun.
It would
Like
be fun. Um, see,
I would enjoy it so much, especially with
that's all the
Vivek
Trump's
up there.
glued.
Like, because
I
he's
think
I
this
don't
is
think Vivek would be like hammering on him too like crazy or anything like that. But
no,
it's like, you know,
no,
to
no.
see
It
DeSantis and
would be
Trump up there at the same
yeah.
time. Oh
So
man,
it would be great fun, and he's denying us that great fun. But also, I think that he would do himself better because there's no doubt that his true following will vote for him no matter what.
true.
But he needs more than that in order to
He
win.
needs to play the game. Come on, man.
Yeah, he needs to play the game, and he needs to find a way to have another Rosie O'Donnell comment, or he needs to have some way to show that he's still got it to the people that have tuned him out forever.
Yeah.
He needs
But
to
also maybe not.
bank on his
Okay.
true believers.
But also maybe not, since he already has all the people in the bag that he wants, right?
You
he
think
can
you're just
basically
platforming
he
everybody
can
else?
more or less pull a Biden and not really even campaign very much. Just go out and do his rallies, please the people that can want to come and see him, but lay low so that the people don't have that big crazy sense of like, oh my god, the world is ending. Look at this guy. I'm seeing him all over the place. I can't stand him. Right? Let them
I
have
think,
their cool
yeah.
off, and then their vision of him, they'll eventually kind of be like, oh geez, like look at, we've got all this crazy stuff with
I
inflation
think
and
he could
gas and
cull.
food and Ukraine
I
and
think he could.
Afghanistan, and it's like, I'll go
I
with
think
this
he
other
could.
guy.
I think he could cull a lot of the competition immediately in one debate. I think that he'd be able to.
Come in the middle
So, just just
on
like
occasion,
no,
right?
no, just like when just his presence and it's kind of like what people have said is like when he walks into a room, everyone notices,
Yeah.
no matter what it is, right? You have his bombast and his persona, his larger than life persona. It just has something that other people don't have, and
But that's
he
something,
just
there's a decent enough portion of people who don't like it that are not Democrats.
but it's the Republican nomination. So we're looking for
In the
this is the
primaries.
yes, that's what I'm saying. This is the primaries. So in the primaries, I'm saying that you're dealing with people that are more friendly towards the ideas. It's just the personality thing they need to justify.
You know
They
what?
need to be able to go up there and see him rip them up. He needs to see him win versus these guys
Okay.
in order to be like, maybe he can't beat Biden, even though they don't like him.
Here's the thing. The one complaint that Republicans really had about Trump was, the thing that they all said that he should do is he needs to get off Twitter. He needs to stop flapping his gums. Is That's basically the
You think him
large
not doing
point.
the debate is doing that kind of?
Him not participating in these things is effectively allowing those people to breathe during a time. So if somebody's expecting, I mean, I'm like, if somebody's expecting that something's going to be tense and it's going to be crazy and it's going to suck and they're going to be anxious and they're going to suffer anxiety attacks because they have to listen to him in these high intense moments, and they don't want that, right? If that's what they're expecting is going to happen, and then he's not there and nothing happens, that gives them a sense of relief. They are calmed by the decision that he made to not participate and not ramp up those tensions and those anxieties that people might have. So it still doesn't mean that he has to change who he is or anything like that when he goes out and he does his rallies, or he's on Truth Social. Like, he can be enough out of other people's faces that it allows people to just kind of be able to breathe a little bit better, especially when the media is not constantly blah blah blah, like throwing
Okay,
everything down
so
his face.
there are two ways to make this argument. I've been making the argument with the idea in mind that you want Trump to be the nominee.
Yeah.
If you want Trump to be the nominee, I think that he's making a mistake by not doing the debate. If you are looking to create a fair environment for the other guys to be able to show their light and be able to show how strong they are and how they can create their own little momentum, they could and they consolidate against Trump, that is then you're not I don't think that's the pro Trump like position. I mean, I feel like it's better for the other candidates if he doesn't show up. So I'm saying like
Yeah.
if like if for me like I'm really impressed with Vivek. Like I said, I'm down with Trump if you can win this thing.
So
If you can
you're
win this thing, I'm down. But I love how smart Vivek is and the stuff he says. I love it's more maybe pie in the sky because maybe he's not known well enough. Maybe it won't happen. But
he's getting to be well
I
known well
love him.
enough.
I love him really.
Dude,
I love he's so smart.
well, where are you with Ron DeSantis now?
He's just lackluster is all. I don't have a problem with him. It's the same thing I've always said with him. I think that he would be good at implementing changes and doing things and doing the procedural work and talking and actually having like what they pretend, doing the conversations with committees and things that should be done in some sort of committee type way, and doing it and making sure things get done, holding people accountable, doing that type of stuff. I think that he would do administratively do well. I think he'd do very well, and I think that um
He doesn't seem to be your number one or two anymore.
no, he's not. He's not. He's
Sounds like
number
there's
three.
like
He's number three
Vivek
now.
is in the top
Vivek is
two.
number one, and Trump is number two, and DeSantis is number three in my mind
Wow,
now.
that's crazy. Because I haven't talked to you for like a month about it,
I know.
and so
It has
last time
changed.
it was DeSantis, Trump, and then didn't matter who beyond
Yes.
that.
Well,
And so
Vivek has
within a
impressed me.
month, Vivek has he's taken over DeSantis over Trump, and
Yeah.
dropped even below
So I don't think DeSantis.
Trump.
I
Wow.
don't disrespect him. Like I was talking to somebody recently about, as I was discovering as to why I felt such an affinity for DeSantis, is because I would say the biggest trauma in my life was the forced lockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was particularly locked down, but that I was looked down, like just going into a Safeway when I wasn't wearing a mask and whatever else, doing my own thing, and like the whole world was being freaking crazy for so long.
Yeah.
And DeSantis, after it was only like 3 weeks in which he had things like that. He's like, this is ridiculous, or whatever it was, and he just fixed it, and it's like spirit animal right there, spirit animal, and I feel like he ushered me through all that, and that it was sanity in the world and existed in Florida.
Environmentally.
And I do feel like Trump lost me in that section because he wasn't strong enough on that. Like he even pushed back against DeSantis when he was trying to open up. It's like, I don't think you should do that. I think you should change your mind. But you have your own states. You can do whatever you want. I don't think you should do that. So I've not been a fan, because he still pushes this as like the best vaccine ever and operation whatever, because that's the way he does. He thought it was a great thing. So that issue alone, just with the lockdowns and the shot, have won me over with DeSantis, in the sense of that's the things that really matter. Now, Trump does things better, and he has done things that are great, like things that, like I said many times, the Abraham Accords, and the Supreme Court justices, and he has a presence that is undeniable, and that's great. I just don't have. It's more. I did feel I didn't feel abandoned per se. I felt like I just felt better with DeSantis, and I think he does a good job with the administrative work. And I mean he's not as flashy. He's never been flashy. He says things that are flashy for a state, in a state, like when you have, it's just different on the presidential level. It's just different with how it feels. So that's always been my position on DeSantis, and he's disappointed that he hasn't been able to step up to the presidential type of limelight. It's not that I wouldn't think he would do a good job as president. He'd just be boring, whatever, like a president we have never heard about before. From history, different random ones. That's how I feel about him. It's not that he's lost me; it's that he hasn't. Like, I was giving
And
him
he
a lot
hasn't
of
impressed
credit.
you.
Yeah, I've given him a lot of credit because he had earned a lot of credit with me, and
That's fair.
it just hasn't elevated at the point of where I have. Not that necessarily should have to. Should he have to wow me? Should he have to woo me? I don't know. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. We live in a day and age where like these
Vivek
political
does,
people
though.
have to woo you. Yes, he does.
He does.
Vivek does,
But
and
he
so,
does
like,
it
it's hard to
honestly.
deny that. I think he just does it honestly. There are people that think he's just a snake oil salesman. I know someone in my life that thinks that, but I don't think I'm being fooled by him.
The thing about, like, with when the American people, and they have this snake oil salesman kind of attitude for him, I mean, I don't know how they necessarily, um, how other people might view him, um, but it's like, so he's kind of this, the way he can kind of present himself, um, is it's in a really, it comes off very honest, but it also kind of he has the political hand gestures. You know, he'll do the political hand gestures. You know, he'll kind of do the little things,
Oh,
his
yeah.
mannerisms,
He's
and the
very
way that he
he is
speaks.
precise and everything is. But I think he's an articulate type of fellow. I
Sure,
mean, even how he
but that's the
how tight
politician.
and clean he is.
But
Yeah, I
that's the
guess.
politician, and what Americans have had to deal with time and time and time again. I mean, we've had it forever. Is somebody besides Trump, is they tell you one thing and then they get into office and
Yeah.
they do something different. I mean, Obama was like, "Oh my goodness, this guy is like, we're finally going to get a new world. We're finally going to like stop these wars. We're finally going to like bring like this country together." You know, like he brought this essence out of people of hope and change, right? And what ended up happening? We all got stabbed in the back. We all, I mean, there's a lot of people who still think, oh, he was great, he was great. No, he spoke well.
They still know.
He
He
spoke
spoke
well, and
well.
you just don't know anything that he actually did.
He divided the nation
He
race
ended up
wise.
dividing the nation and causing all kinds of trouble and craziness all over the world, and it was absolute insanity. But because he can
So,
speak
so
well,
when he won,
people overlooked it.
when he won, I was like, damn it. But I was like, but like, I
But
was like, you
maybe,
know, but maybe he can actually provide some sort of healing thing with the whole race thing. Maybe he can be a great. I
yeah,
was hoping, and it didn't. It was like, what? He just divided it instead. It's like he could.
yeah.
I feel like he could have at least had that nugget of 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 what I would respect in a human, and it just like I don't think I think he was actually more of a believer of the Reverend the right type stuff. The stuff that you thought at first, like, no, it can't be. Maybe he's just doing this. This is just his church because he says he's going to go to church and then we'll go that much and then we hear it. But then it just seems more and more like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's not like that.
Well, and that's kind of the problem. And so I don't blame people for thinking that Vivek is a
Yeah.
snake oil salesman, because we've literally experienced it, of this same kind of, oh wow, he's so, like, the way that he speaks, he does the things that he says, like
Yeah.
everything about this person is just like fantastic. But it's like, I've heard this before. And so
The
it has effectively come down to the point of like, yeah, oh yeah, you're so great, you're so awesome. I'll believe it when I see it.
so the thing that gets me, I'm so excited now because like the thing that got me that put tingles on me with him is that because he can go way nerdier and deep about anything you throw at him, but like especially certain things, like he gets down to the stuff that most people don't understand what he's talking about. I know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
He's getting so detailed. I'm like I know, right? And a lot of people don't even understand the details. And even if he talks finance, he's done some interviews where he talks about these financial terms and things like that, and elasticity and all these different things that are like that only like accountants know. But like I know, I'm hearing like this guy, and he's smart.
he knows what he's talking about.
He is not just saying a bunch of platitudes.
Yep.
He understands it. And when he was talking to Elon, it came out too, where it was evident that there's wheels turning constantly, and it is not a like how do I come off the best here? It's like he's actually
It comes
thinking and
off
solving
genuine.
problems. He's
Yeah.
trying to find ways to solve problems, and he's not only just trying to solve problems. He's trying to not be divisive while doing it. He's trying to not be like people try to pick him in corners or trying to say things about the super PACs, like what's your name was, like Crystal was saying about super PACs, trying to pin it on trying to say, so what do you think about DeSantis as a super PAC? Trying to do this thing. He's like, I'm not going to do that. He's basically like,
If
he's
they
not,
don't do it, I won't do it.
yes,
Like, if they
yeah,
won't participate, he's like, I don't believe in this, but this is a tool that we have that has
right,
been given to us, And if these people aren't, or if they're gonna do it, then I'm gonna
You
do
have
it
to.
too,
Right.
because you have to.
And he said he's gonna. He said that when he wins the nomination,
Then
when if
he would do what he
like
can to
he would say
eliminate it.
that he'd do that too. Yeah, he'd say Biden would say, "Hey, no super PACs. I'll not do super PACs. You don't do super PACs. We don't do super PACs."
Yeah.
And like and that's the first step. He said there's such a legal thing in there. He couldn't commit to like eliminating them per se because there's too many. It requires the Senate, it requires a lot of things, and there's a lot of money involved. There's too much.
Yeah.
But he said what
Once
he
that thing
can do
got
is start
passed,
there.
and it's
Yeah.
crazy because like the Democrats were against it initially, and now they're like, yeah, let's go for it. And like Vivek is like, dude, this is not an okay. Like Vivek, I feel like Vivek's positions are on the right side. It's the right course that we
So
should be going.
his takes is gonna be just a Vivek cheerleading section now at this point, just
I know,
today, because
right?
I'm especially hyped up recently because I just heard Elon thing today, and so I'm like really excited. But I've heard him on other interviews talk about his idea about citizenship and voting, and I love it. It's the idea
I've
that
noticed a lot of people do. A
is
lot of
the
people
age.
like that.
He has a general idea that might sound bad at first, but when he explains it in detail, it's great. And he explains it in the way where it doesn't sound bad at first, even because he just has a good way of progressing, and I don't. So I'm telling you, it's gonna sound bad. Basically, the idea is that you don't get your naturalized voting rights until 25, because the 18 to 25 stage, what they want you to do is they want you to be able to, like when you graduate from high school and be able to get your voting rights, you should be able to pass the same citizenship test that the citizens that we make pass before they
That
become
immigrate
citizens
here.
of other nations. Like you need to have, and he says that, and there's some how does he word it? He says there needs to not be just a right; it needs to be a right because there's a duty. So you link
Right.
the fact that there is a right because there is a duty to the country and so that it's actually the citizenship is actually worth something. It's not just something that you have that you can just shit on and throw in the fire and not care about and just be like, I'm gonna move to Canada because I don't agree with this, whatever else. It's so he wants to create an atmosphere of where being an American is a thing again, and where it means something to do that. And what does it mean? So you need to put value on it. You need to be something that people earn. And he surmises that you're going to be more young people voting if you implemented that policy. More young people will vote if they
Yeah.
step. And
If
it's
they
actually
actually
of
care,
value.
then they're gonna take the time to
Right.
go through and do
So
these things.
he has like 7 ideas like that. I'm like, holy crap, awesome, and I
So
like it. So
one
that's
of
what
the
gets me with him.
one of the problems that I can potentially see of what that would entail is effectively the changing of the identity of what it is to be an American, of what the values of America are.
Yeah.
Right? So
I
there
would
would be
say this more
massive
like
attempts to brainwash people into believing that these are the things, and they would make certain they could go after the test itself and say these are the things that you
yes,
need
that
to
would be the new
know.
battleground. The new
Yeah, that
battleground
would be a
would
new
be the past.
battleground.
That is true. Um, and
And it
he
would be
also
about
he
race and
solves another
social
issue with
justice
this
and
because people say, yeah, well they can fight in wars for us, then they should be able to vote. Well, he tackles that also because he says first off, if you serve in the military and or do civil service, maybe that would some sort of civil service thing for X amount of period of time, maybe that can also qualify because some people aren't geared towards tests for whatever reason.
sure.
But also he said he would also like to remove the draft completely, but he replaced it with. It was linked to it. I don't remember what it was. It was brilliant though. It was linking all this stuff together,
Hmm.
because
You'd
the
have to
conflict
have
that happened.
a very comprehensive plan in
Yeah,
order to like if you're going to make one of these changes, you're gonna that's gonna cause an issue somewhere else, and you're gonna have a solution in the chamber for it for resolving that all before you even start anything else. Um,
and one last thing before because we should probably stop
yeah.
going about that crazy. um, his path forward for eliminating jobs that can't be eliminated because you can't fire people in the federal government and the State Department. Um, his solution to that would be eliminating departments and taking
Yeah.
the good workers and putting them in other departments that are working, like for instance the U.S. Marshals. So like you might eliminate um, FBI or CIA or whatever it is, and then just take the people that are actually doing the hard work, that are not the political desk sitters that are doing the bullshit. Just put them in the field with the U.S. Marshals instead, and so therefore, oh look, but this has been disbanded, so we didn't fire you. We just don't have this department anymore, so you're just gone. You don't have to worry
Yeah.
about not being able to fire people. So
Again, though, you gotta really think about the consequences of doing that, because there's a lot of.
overlap. There's a ton of overlap though in our system.
No, I
Because
know,
everything
but it's
overlaps.
like
So
if you're
that's why he's
because effectively what he's talking about is he's not necessarily talking about like, hey, I want to. I mean, the way that he frames it in a sense is I want to just get rid of these intelligence agencies basically, or government agencies because they have these overlaps or whatever. But it's really the whole point of him even doing it is to eliminate the corruption that's that has infested these agencies. And so if you end up cutting out all of these people, these are all very skilled people with a whole lot of knowledge. And if they
yes.
take those skills and knowledge and put them to something else, that can become very dangerous for a
Well,
country's health.
what he's talking about, he understands that just being part of a bureaucracy system, good people can be acting in bad ways because of just how the structure is. And so
Right.
he's saying that it's not necessarily these people. If you take them out of this situation and you put them in specific targeted situations best suited for their skills, and you get rid of their
Yeah.
political power from just sitting in the state because they've been in this office for 30 years and not control everything.
Yeah.
Like if you remove that, but then you still assign their skills, you still kind of get their skills, but you don't have their influence and their control over
So you could
the over
basically
the
take like FBI people, CIA people, and you can target them towards like child trafficking
right, right. You
kind
can
of a
do
thing.
things like that.
Like,
So
hey,
you can do that.
that's where you guys are gonna be now. Like, and
Yes.
we're reducing.
And then like and then they don't have their it's basically it's a way to get like probably like 60% of the good people out of there, and then like the other 40% just find a private sector job.
Yeah.
Because like you're just all you are is you're gonna be a lobbyist for the rest of your life
I guess
probably. That's what they're gonna
that's
do.
the thing that he has to think of. I don't know if what you said about him, creating these other agencies such as child trafficking, and those are places that they would go. I don't know if that's something that he's talked about, but I think that type of thinking is the right solution,
Right.
to help to resolve those concerns, um, of it ending up backfiring. But
So go ahead.
I was
Okay.
just I was
So
ready
the
to call it. You got
so
anything
yeah, we'll
else?
bring it back to the Trump thing to recap. So um it's a shame that we've come to this place where 3 indictments on
Yeah.
President Trump, who has, um, uh, in my opinion, has been doing. I feel like he feels that he's a true American in the sense that he does feel actual patriotism for America and he wants to do good things. And it's just amazing. It just seems heartless like that. I don't know. It feels weird. It just feels like there is a no soul zombie former American like group of they don't even care. They don't care about America. They're just whatever. It means to an end. I hate Trump. Screw Trump. Just indict him because we hate him.
They're trying to
I don't know.
destroy the heart of
It
America.
just feels weird.
Is
Yeah.
what it
Thank
feels
you.
like,
There we
right?
go. There we go. It feels like they're trying to destroy the heart of America. It's like whether you like Trump or not and how he does things. I think he embodies the heart of America. It's kind of like a Tom Cruise, right? He does a lot of crazy things, but like he's another like heart of America type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's anyways, it just feels like that, and I hate it. So
Yeah, I get it. Okay, that was a good one. Lot longer
yeah.
than we
How
anticipated.
long was it?
But that was a good and fun one. All right. If you let's see if I can even remember my spiel. Um, If you made it this far, drop a like. If you liked what you saw, hit the subscribe button, and if you are looking forward to the next one, hit that bell icon. All right, you guys, take it easy.